Thank you indeed, Minister. Thank you for a very encouraging input, I would say. Very, very encouraging, and thank you for that. And it just shows you the good relationship that's between this organisation and the department and the various ministers, but most particularly this minister indeed. And with that, I call in John Stewart, our national coordinator, to his few remarks.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks, and good morning everybody, or good afternoon as it is now. Thank you very much for coming. Absolutely delighted with the turnout as ever. It's always fantastic that so many people will give their time from their very busy lives to come along to attend events like this. So this is something that we always very much appreciate, and you're very, very welcome. And just a few thanks. Thanks obviously, Minister, for your kind words of support for the organisation and for agreeing to launch the publication this morning. So thanks very much to that. Thanks also to Mike, inspirational as ever, Mike, and thank you for that. It's always good, I think, to hear about the context that existed back 25 years ago when the organisation first produced this publication. And to also highlight maybe some of the changes that have happened as well in the intervening period. And also thank you to Anne for chairing the event. Some other people I'd like to thank as well, obviously the officials in the information section in the Department of Employment Affairs and Social Protection for all of the assistance and support given to the organisation, particularly in terms of checking the content of the book. And I know a number of departments have done this. Department of Education and Skills, Revenue, you mentioned yourself there, Minister, as well. So this is a real kind of collaborative effort on behalf of not just the INOU and the department, but a whole range of other departments as well. And we very much appreciate that too, because without that we couldn't produce the book as accurately as we do. I'd like to also thank obviously the INOU staff and the team here who've been involved in the publication: Robert, Ivor, Robbie, Connor and Ray. And also big thanks to Printwell. I see Cormac down the back for again printing a very, very fine publication, Cormac, and thank you for that. Very much appreciated and well done on that. I think, Minister, it's important, and you touched on this yourself, that I acknowledge the preparedness of your department and the Department of Education and Skills and Solace to fund this organisation and to fund the publication of this book over the last 25 years. And in doing that, recognising the potential of the publication and the huge amount of support and assistance that is given people over the years. So that again is very much appreciated. It's a very special occasion for a very special publication, the 25th anniversary of the book that was originally described as a survival handbook, as you said, for unemployed people. Actually that, as Mike said, is the front cover of the very first publication. In many ways it still is a survival handbook for unemployed people. It's significantly used by unemployed people. But we have also managed to establish the book now as the foremost, in fact the only publication of its kind. It's a key resource for unemployed people, for people working with unemployed people, for officials and others. And so I think it's pretty safe to say that the book is unique in so many ways. Minister, when we met before, it was at our annual conference on the 30th of May, and I outlined at that stage that the INOU very positively welcomed the fall in the levels of unemployment, and particularly long-term unemployment in recent years. And we also obviously welcome the increase in the number of people in work and the sustained level of job creation that the country has managed to achieve. And I think all of that has been very, very positive. You touched on this yourself and others as well. Notwithstanding, though, the ongoing successes in this area, there still unfortunately remains many thousands of people unemployed, and people who may not be actually classified as unemployed, but who would work if their circumstances were right. Now, we feel that if we're to become a full employment society, and for that to be sustained, then employment services and supports for unemployed people and others who are looking for work will continue to be vital. So I would say, let's not get complacent. Let's not start dismantling the infrastructure that's there at the moment in terms of providing employment supports and services to people. We may need to look at how that's done and what the focus should be, but it's very important, we would say, to maintain those services. In terms of the contribution that Working for Work has made over the years, I absolutely strongly believe that the publication has played a key role over the last 25 years in supporting people to return to work. I believe as well that the value of the book to the state is much greater than the financial resources allocated to the organisation, not only to produce the book, but also to back up the book through the provision of an expert welfare to work information and training service. So we have over the years established ourselves really as a go-to organisation for information on complex welfare to work issues. And we continue to have really significant contact with all of the employment services. So that's the intro service, the local employment service, the job path providers, the employability services, and also with citizens information and MABs as well. All of those organisations come to the INIU to discuss, to receive information, clarification and support specifically around very complex welfare to work issues, and we have developed an expertise in doing that. And without the funding from the department, we simply wouldn't be able to do that. Minister, we are obviously very conscious that budget day is approaching, and I would like to wish you well in your forthcoming negotiations with the Minister for Finance, and really hope, and touching on what Anne said earlier, that you secure tangible budget outcomes for people on unemployment payments. Because we are concerned, Minister, that people on job seekers payment should not be at the back of the queue when final budget decisions are made. And we would really urge you to have that in mind in terms of those negotiations. Thanks again, Minister, for launching the book, Mike for your input on it, and again for sharing, and obviously to everybody who has come along here this morning to help celebrate what is really a wonderful milestone for the organisation and for the publication. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up, and just to say as well that we also have some lunch, and we'll be encouraging everybody to stay if you can, have a bite to eat, and have a chat with you as well. So thank you, and thanks again.